Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Can we talk with Monique? I am Monique. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit that little bell, and that way you'll be notified of all of my uploads. So family, again, I come to you with another unfortunate stories of the domestic violence files, and this is a sad story that occurred in 2020 last year. This is the gentleman who's now in custody, and unfortunately these two individuals here, mother and daughter, were gunned down. And I want to get into the story, and again, you know, I do these stories to bring awareness to domestic violence, but also to give people who may be in those situations some information as to red flags and what to look for and tips. And I'll be going over some tips as far as stalking, when you think someone is stalking you, or if you see their car, for you think they see their car and the person speeds off, or it's a person that you may have recently divorced and you see their car. I'm going to give you some tips as to what you should do, because if a person is stalking you, that's against the law, and typically they're not stalking you just to see where you're at. They're stalking you to more than likely bring harm to you. And like I told you, I want you to keep your head on swivel, because a lot of the times when I talk about this, I'm not talking about this from a standpoint of don't know what has occurred. I'm talking to you from a standpoint of someone that this has happened to, or might currently be occurring. So that's why I tell you to keep your head on swivel, because these people will stalk you. They will use other people's cars. They will put trackers underneath your car. They will, that's why when you're driving, one of the things that I do notice with stalkers is that when you're driving, they will stay in a cut where if they know you frequent a certain area, they will stay in a place where, especially if you live in an area like where I live, you really can't do too much surveillance until the person comes clear cut out of the neighborhood and are well on your way. It's not like you can sit in front of my house and survey me, because you'll be found. So a lot of times the stalkers will stay in a cut somewhere on a street that they think that you come down, and they will follow you. And that's why you guys need to keep your head on swivel. These people will stalk you. They think they're slick, but they're not. And that's all I'm saying. So anyway, this is a story of a mother and daughter. It's an unfortunate story. And I'm going to play a tape, and we're going to get back to this, back to the commentary. But this was a news broadcast, and I'll play it for a little while, and then we'll come back to the story. I'll be back in a minute.
But first at 10 tonight, on this Labor Day evening, a family shattered by violence. A young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her and her mother, and with shooting and wounding her brother.
Her brother tells John Sherrick his sister was trying to get away from her boyfriend when he opened fire. John joins us with the story from Dunwoody with the brother's eyewitness description.
A mother trying to protect her children with her life.
She wasn't kidding when she said she'd die for her children.
Sunday night, Danielle Sims used her body as a shield, trying to save her 22-year-old daughter, Crystal Williams, and 18-year-old son, Malachi Williams. That's what Malachi told me on the phone. He said his sister, Crystal, was arguing with her live-in boyfriend, 23-year-old Justin Dion Turner, and she was trying to get away from him to go home with her mother. And as Crystal and the family were driving out of the apartment complex, Malachi said Turner blocked them with his car.
And out of nowhere, Justin cuts us off and comes out with a gun. And he pulls Crystal out at gunpoint. My mom gets outside. And my mom is over her, using herself as a shield for my sister. And he was point blank, like he was right there, and he just shot. Boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, I guess he just pointed it at me. He just wanted me dead. I don't know how he missed.
Malachi was wounded. Turner drove away. Dunwoody police arrested Turner Monday. Jail records show Turner was arrested this past April, charged with aggravated assault against a police officer, and was released a few days later. No indication yet what the status of that case is. Malachi Williams speaks of how his sister Crystal had tried to get away from Turner before and could not. He described her as the family's light.
My sister was the funny one. She was just the life of everything. I'm angry and sad. I've never felt that type of combo before. And it's immense anger and sadness. I'll never forgive him ever in my life.
Okay, guys. So that was the brother Malachi who was not, he was injured, but he survived, thank God. And my condolences to the family. And the reason why I'm doing this story and all the stories on this channel is to bring awareness, but also for us to be able to look at some of the red flags and warning signs. And this happens to women who are mature women, and it happens to teenagers, domestic violence. It happens to men, it happens to women, and it happens to teenagers. So, let's read this story. So this happened in Dunwoody, Georgia. A young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her and her mother and was shooting and wounding her brother. The injured brother now says his sister was trying to get away from her boyfriend when he opened fire. And I guess obviously they were trying to get away from him, and he shot both of them, the mother and the daughter, and they both are deceased. Okay, and he's being charged with 2 counts of murder. So let's go to another story that I came across, and this is where the domestic violence comes in. So this is them holding a family hold vigil to honor shooting victims. Mother, daughter, remember for their kind nature. And this comes by Matt Bruce. And this comes from I want to give credit to Dunwoody Crier. It's dated September 24th, 2020. And let's read this. Dunwoody, Georgia. A somber tone of awareness underscored an outpouring of love for 2 women gunned down in a double homicide earlier this month. So as you can see, this is a candlelight vigil they're having, and this is a picture of the 2, mother and daughter, who are deceased, which is really sad. And family friend Tanya Brinson lights candles during a vigil service for Crystal Williams and Danielle Sims. It was held September 15th in Dunwoody. Nearly 100 loved ones gathered in front of the Dunwoody Glen Apartments at dusk September 15th for a candlelight vigil to celebrate the lives of Danielle Sims and her 22-year-old daughter, Crystal Williams. So she was actually only 22. Both were killed. Sorry about this, guys. Both were killed the night of September 6th outside the apartment complex front entrance. So this person did this and didn't care. It was just out in broad daylight. Police say Williams' ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Justin Dion Turner, ambushed and opened fire on the family. Wow. Williams' 18-year-old brother, Malachi Williams, was wounded in the hail of bullets. Family members say they staged a vigil to shed light on the volatility of abusive relationships. And this is why I want to bring this to your attention. And I'm grateful to the family for sharing this information, because we can share it with other women. This was an abusive relationship, guys. We all know that this is silly. This is insane, said Sharice Kalfani, Sim's sister and aunt to the Williams sibling. It's something that should have never happened. I'm just grateful that everyone here was able to share in at least some parts of their lives, be a part of who they are, and shared in the love that they had to offer. Family and friends swapped stories about the 2. Sims, a Lawrenceville resident, and Crystal Williams, who lived in Dunwoody. Let's see. Okay, let's see here. It says, according to family members, Sims jumped in front of Crystal and Malachi Williams. So the mother jumped in front of her 2 children, trying to shield her children from the bullets with her own body. Police found 8 shell casings in front of the family's SUV. Crystal died at the scene, and Sims died later at Grady Memorial, and Malachi survived. That's a shame. The suspect had a criminal history. Does this sound like it rings a bell? This is where we have to be mindful of people's history. Dunwoody police arrested Turner on September 7th, and he remains in jail facing 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 3 counts of possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of a felony. Records show it was not Turner's first brush with the law. He was arrested April 1st in Stone Mountain and released from DeKalb County Jail 4 days later. The arrest was for 13 charges stemming from a 2018 incident involving aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer and fleeing or attempting to elude police. But something that the brother said that was really telltale. It says, according to loved ones, Turner took the deadly action when he learned that Crystal Williams was ending their romantic relationship. So guys, I tell you, one of the most dangerous times for women or anybody leaving an abusive relationship is when you leave, or even after you divorce that person. Quan Green, one of Crystal Williams' cousins, warned young women at the vigil to take heed and speak out if they're in an abusive relationship. He said, I want to encourage you to get out of the relationship. If a man or woman is abusing you or talking down to you, she said, this is not love, and you need to know that. You need to know to love yourself first and foremost. It says domestic violence ravishes the state of Georgia. The Georgia Coalition Against Domestic Violence ranked Georgia 10th in the nation for the rate at which women are killed by men in 2019. A gun's presence in a volatile relationship drastically increases the risk of homicide by 500%, studies show. Firearms have been used in 73% of the state's 1,380 domestic violence-related deaths over the past decade. Georgia Commission on Family Violence statistics show. Green said domestic violence is often a legacy unwittingly, listen to this, passed down through generations. So victims don't even recognize the patterns of abuse in their own lives. And that's true. Even in my family, patterns of abuse. So you don't even recognize if you're in a relationship with one of these narcissists or with one of these in an abusive relationship, because it's passed down. It's not something that you can recognize. You're used to it. And so we need to be mindful when people are talking down to you, abusing you, mistreating you. We need to be mindful of that. And that's why I'm so adamant about bringing this information to you guys. Those past histories. If someone's hit you one time, they will hit you again. If someone stalked you before, they will stalk you again. And even if you divorce someone or have gotten out of a relationship long term, don't underestimate these people. Keep your head on swivel, because these people have something in their brain where they want to still control, manipulate. They want to get back at you. If they are narcissists, like the narcissists that I've dealt with.
But first at 10 tonight on this Labor Day evening, a family shattered by violence. A young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her
and I don't know why it's
her
coming
mother
on
and with shooting
again.
and wounding.
But when these individuals have a narcissist and they have a narcissistic injury, whereas you may have divorced them, left them, and they feel embarrassed and they don't know what to do, they will stalk you. And if they stalk you, it's them wanting to possibly hurt you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys know that recently I've gone through a divorce. And I haven't talked about that yet. But this particular individual, and they might be watching, I really do keep my head on swivel. I stay in contact with local police departments. I stay in contact with attorneys. I stay in contact with people who are able to investigate certain things. You must be able to do that. If you use your resources, because these people, they think they're covert and slick. But if you get an intuition, if you see their car on the highway, if you see them around you more than one time, that person is more than likely stalking you. Don't dismiss it and go, oh no, that can't be them. Maybe it's another car. No, it's more than likely them, right? You know the car, you know the way their vehicles look. And like, again, sometimes they get other vehicles. So that's why when you're coming out of a situation, you need to work with everybody as a team. You must keep your information together. If you see their vehicle, take pictures. If you suspect that, get the attorney's office on the phone, the DA's office on the phone, the domestic violence information people on the phone. You must do that. Start reporting this stuff. And whatever team that you have to get together. This young woman, she was probably leaving and called her mother and brother. And this gentleman got upset and ended up taking out a gun and shooting them. Some of these things you can't avoid, but at the first sign of violence and abuse, you have to leave. And even when you leave, a week later, months later, you still have to keep your head on swivel. Don't underestimate these people, because they'll lay low for a little while. And, when they think that you've let your guard down. I'm not saying you can't live a normal life, because you should be able to. But don't let your guard down. You need to know what's going on, because these people don't like to theoretically let go. Even if you don't want to be bothered with them, they want to still have control. And so I'm speaking from experience. So this young lady obviously was in a domestic violence situation. Georgia is really ranking high amongst the other states. And it says here, Mark Williams took note of 2 other recent homicide cases involving women killed by their boyfriends. He paused and thought for a few beats when asked what signs family members should look for and what they can do to stave off this kind of tragedy that befell his daughter. And this was his response. The best I can say is, if you see something wrong with the person that your daughter is dating, try to make it clearer for her to understand that she could be a statistic. You have to. That's why I'm very serious about this. Make sure to keep an eye on her, and make sure that if she's being battered, you take matters into your own hands and to make sure that it's taken care of. You must do that, guys, because these individuals, they have a spirit of envy, a spirit of jealousy. These spirits take over them. The Jezebel spirit. They carry a spirit of death with them. Also, a spirit of anger, a spirit of violence, And so the reason why I'm doing this channel is so you can see how being with these people touches other people in your life. It touches other individuals who the violence touches multiple aspects. A mother and daughter is gone. A son sees his mother and daughter, his sister and mom gunned down. It's multifaceted. That's what I tell you. This devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So keep your head on swivel. Contact your local. Each county should have a domestic violence division. In Cobb County, it's called SAFE. In other counties, it may be called something else. Get in contact with them. Orders of protections are important. If somebody is stalking you, definitely order protection. Get weapons. I'm always looking and I'm always watching. And I see things, how these people move. They're very covert. Very, very covert. Sneaky. They're snakes. And they will try to exert revenge on you. Especially when you're in the midst of trying to leave or have left. Even if you've left, they're even more angry. So you must be aware of your surroundings. When you go somewhere, they'll put a tracker on your car to see where you're going. They'll do things with social media. I'm in contact right now. I called some hotlines in Washington to get out some information in reference to digital stalking, because people can stalk you physically or they can stalk you digitally online. And a lot of narcissists that you may have broken up with, they create different accounts. They try to stalk you and see what you're doing. That's why you shouldn't post things about everywhere you go and what you do, because they're watching that stuff, right? They're watching and waiting and looking and trying to figure things out. And you would think that, oh, well, why don't they get a life? Because they have that spirit on them. But we rebuke that. We cast it down. We rebuke it. We denounce it. We renounce it with the blood of Yeshua. But those are stories for other days. But definitely, we have to use our physical sense. But I'm always praying in the spiritual when it relates to something like this, because you need all forces. Some of these people are demonically driven. So you need sometimes supernatural power to counteract these entities that may come for you, to give supernatural protection, to put a hedge of fiery hedge of protection over you to where the enemy cannot strike. You have to pray for that, because these people are wicked. They are wicked. They are unassuming, but they think that people just don't know. And we must stay awoke. We must stay aware. And we must look at the person's background. So with that being said, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next upload of Can We Talk with Monique. Peace.